Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from AnthonysCustoms, and for this video, we are looking at the Mafex 7 Deadly Sins MELIODAS, which I was pretty excited to get. I haven't had a Mafex figure before, but they look like they're decent enough. I know they've had some QC issues in the past, but I was hoping I wouldn't run into those problems. And 7 Deadly Sins is perfect for a toy line because there's nice, unique character designs, and it'd make for a cool little display. So I was real pumped to get this figure, the first one of the bunch, and as I opened it, you guys will see, or have seen depending on when this goes up, in the haul video that I found a problem on the figure right away. There's a big spot of glue on him, and I'll show you that in this video. And then, after the video, as I was just handling the figure, I wasn't like stress testing it or anything, the leg broke right off. And then the pig's earring thing broke right off. Totally disappointed in that. In the QC regard, very, very disappointed. Otherwise, it seems like a pretty good figure. So we're gonna review it regardless of the issues, and we'll decide at the end if it's worth buying. But let's get him off the stand and take a closer look. So this guy stands roughly about 15 centimeters, right around there, depending on how straight you have him, which makes him just shy of 6 inches, especially if you count the top of his hair. If you guys aren't familiar with Mafex figures, they're essentially another import figure. They're kind of like a cross between Figma and SH Figure Arts in terms of design. So you'll see some things you recognize from either of those lines. Generally, they fit in just fine with those figures. As far as this guy goes, he comes with a lot of stuff, so we're going to look at that stuff first. And the first thing I want to look at is interchangeable heads. They're all full heads, by the way. They're not, like the faces aren't swapped out, so you can just swap out the entire head, which is kind of good. So we have this one, which is just the neutral face. And then we have this one, which is kind of like a stern face, but still kind of neutral, not too exaggerated, so that's a good thing. And then we have this one, which is his yelling face, which is kind of cool. I'm a little bit worried about the paint application on the mouth, though. This is painted rather crooked, so you can see a whole lot of extra pink on this side, and the teeth kind of spill over onto there, so generally, the faces look good. I really like the way they do the eyes. They look really nice. But we do have some serious QC issue on that one mouth. So it's not ideal. Something we could live with, I guess, but it's something to note. We do have more accessories. So we have those interchangeable faces. We have a ton of interchangeable hands. Let's go through them. The first ones, I guess I'll show you the ones that are on the figure first. They are just the standard relaxed hands. Nothing really special there, just kind of neutral. Then we have these guys, which have just the 2 fingers pointing out. Each hand has a partner, by the way, so I'll probably grab them all, but if I only grab one, just know that they come in pairs, always. So we have those. Then we have our fist hands. We need fist hands for any sort of combat character, and these guys do fight. So we have the fist hands. Then we have these guys, which are kind of neutral, kind of action-oriented, and you can use the various hands for various things you'll see with the other accessories in terms of holding swords and scabbards and stuff. And then we have another open set of hands, which are slightly less neutral, but still very similar. So these guys are going to be, again, they'll be used for a variety of things depending on how you want to use them. And then lastly, we have the hands that are specifically for gripping some of the accessories. So we have these 2 hands right here. So lots of options for the hands, and they're all nicely sculpted. We have a little bit of finger sculpting, so we have some wrinkles on there. And then we also have the thumbs and fingernails, so that's pretty good. We get a mug of beer. If you watch the anime, that'll make sense. If you don't, it won't, because he looks like a kid, but he's not actually a kid. This is a nice accessory because it's got the metallic paint and the wood grain paint, and it's actually sculpted in those ways. And then the frothiness, the foam on the beer, is actually translucent. So that is a pretty cool accessory. So I like that. Then we get this weapon right here, which is really nicely done. You can see the kind of glossy, almost glossy blue with the gold, and then the sword can come out, the dagger, whatever you want to call it, comes out, and it's nicely detailed also. So that's a pretty cool one. And then we get, I told you there was a lot of stuff, and then we get this, which is the strap and pouch that goes around his shoulder. Nicely done. And this is the sword that comes with it. And that's how it's supposed to look. If you're familiar with the show, you know that. If you are not familiar with the show, then just know that it's supposed to be like that. It's not like the Trunks sword where it's just like that to fit in. It is meant to be broken like that based on the show. So we have that. And then the last accessory is the pig, which you guys already saw. Again, it won't make sense unless you already know the show. So this thing is just one chunk of plastic, basically, except for the earring, which I don't know why they did it this way. It just has this little loop thing glued in. And as I opened the package, I noticed that it was already smushed. So this is basically just dangling, the loop part. And then this is a separate piece that hangs on that. It says Star Bore on it. That's nicely done, but the fact that it was broken in the package is really disappointing. There is some shading throughout and some nice paintwork, so that's good. You can see the clover thing on the back there looks pretty good. The tail is a soft plastic, so that's good. There is an issue though. I have a big smudge on the pig there above the eye. I don't know what's up with that. So the ear is broken and there's a smudge on it. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. And he comes with a display stand, which you guys already saw. So lots of accessories, that's a good thing. Lots of posing options, that's a good thing. Quality control, not a good thing. As far as the figure goes, it's made well, aside again from the quality control. The head, let's pop it off and I'll just show you what the articulation is, since it's made to come off anyway. Just a double ball peg. Not as versatile as some other things, but it's pretty well made. I mean, I like the double ball peg over a ball hinge, because you can just move it however you want to. It's just the way they designed it. It's not the best, but it's definitely pretty darn good. I like that a lot. You can pretty much get the head however you want to. With the ball hinge, you have to really maneuver that joint around, whereas the double ball peg, much more effective. So that's a good thing. This outer vest and everything is all soft plastic, so you don't have to worry about that getting in the way when you're posing the arms, except the arms pop right off on this guy. Super disappointing. You're going to have to be real careful while posing this guy to not pop them off. It's not a big deal, but I imagine eventually they're going to get loose, so you don't really want that. But you get the ball peg that connects the arm to the body, and then you have the ball hinge inside there, so you get your standard shoulder joint, and your bicep swivel is connected right there, just like a Figma. Exactly like a Figma, like most SH figure arts. You get a single hinge for the elbow, which gives you decent range. It's not the best design ever, but it works. And of course, you can rotate at that hinge if you want to. For the wrists, we have a ball hinge, just like most Figmas and most SH figure arts. Just a straight peg for the hands. Decent enough range of motion. You're going to have to finagle that hinge around, but that's alright. You don't have to worry about it breaking though, because it's just a straight peg. Probably could use a little bit more of a lip on there, but it's good enough. The hands don't feel too loose. We have a single ball peg connecting the torso to the crotch area, so you can move him around. Hey, look at that. It broke. Well, it didn't break, but it came apart. Apparently, everything comes apart. And I found out it's a double ball peg. So we have a double ball peg connecting the torso to the lower torso, and then a single ball peg connecting the lower torso to the crotch. So if it didn't fall apart, that'd be good. But everything falls apart on this figure. That's really disappointing. And so here's where I found the glue spot. If you guys watched the haul video, you probably saw me note that. There's a big smear of glue right there. So, disappointing. The hips, as you can see on this broken side, have the hinged ball pegs. So you can bring the hip down if you want to give yourself better range of motion. But here's the thing. For the hips, they have this really tiny, made out of bad plastic peg that holds them together. So as soon as I moved that, it just snapped right off. This ball peg that's in this socket was too tight, so when I tried to rotate it, it just came right off. You do get a thigh swivel out of that though. So if it didn't break, it would be a decent design. Then for the knee, we just have our standard type of Figma joint, standard hinge. It's made well enough. It's okay. It's not the best looking joint in the world, but it'll work. And then for the ankle, we have a standard ball hinge. But because of the way it's sculpted, you really are just going to get the hinge out of it. You can't rotate that for the ankle rocker. So that's a bit of a bummer, but it does work that way. And you get a toe hinge, which is good enough. So, final verdict on this figure. If it wasn't for the quality control issues, I'd be all for it. I like the general look of it. It's made well aside from the quality control issues. So, if it's just mine, if I got a bad luck figure, then no big deal, go ahead and get the figure. There's no way for me to know that though, so I have to say I don't recommend it. It's just got too many issues. I mean, who wants a figure where the entire torso comes apart, the arms come apart, and the legs break off, and the pig can't even come out of the package without being broken? I mean, that's no good. So if a figure can't hold up, then I have to say I don't recommend it. As cool of a figure as it is, their QC is just not good enough to warrant the purchase price, and they're fairly expensive figures. So, and there you have it. If you want to risk it, go for it. Be super careful, but if you don't want to risk it, then definitely don't. I can't suggest that. There you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.